sea to go and look for fish in very, very traumatic conditions. I mean, tragic conditions, because sometimes they die and sometimes they beat them. Growing up becomes a problem. So it is part of the labor law, 2003 labor law 651, that we need to eliminate child labor in our workforce. And we need to make it a criminal offense so that nobody can do it and go free without reason, any reason at all. That will be given by the violator of using child labor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So definitely I will make sure it becomes a priority area in my commitment to create any value at the ministry. Thank you.
Honourable members, I was part of that delegation, and it was interesting to note that from the European Union Parliament to visit our ambassador, we saw a child and a father on a tractor plowing at Brussels. Thank you very much. Do you have any other question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I should have mentioned you because you were a key member of that group of people.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My very respected Honorable Minister Designate, do you have a government land? Have you acquired a government land?
Mr. Chairman, whilst I was the ranking member for lands and forestry, at the end of, during the 4 years, we were informed that every single time the land committee was operating, at the end of the period, the Lands Commission would salute you, thank you by giving you a piece of land. So they offered us a piece of land. I have not acquired it yet. It's about some 4 years now. I have made attempts to acquire it. They are saying they will do the papers for me. I haven't got the papers yet. But I hope that if I make the necessary effort, I would acquire it. Thank you.
And I agree with you. I don't think it's a problem to have it at least engrossed in your name for the period you served on whichever committee you claim. Just my last question. We've had issues of foreigners in our workspace. And the complaints that we numerously get is the maltreatment to the Ghanaian people who are working for most of these foreigners. One of which is harassing them, another is beating them, another is underpaying them, and all manner of maltreatment. Is there any assurance from you that these people, under your watch, are going to be safer and better off wherever they are finding themselves? Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, human rights is one of the areas I particularly show direct interest. In fact, when I even watch television and I see people suffering elsewhere, it hurts me. And right in my own country, it is something I will want to enforce, that people must have rights to work, they must have right to safety, workplace abuses must not happen. It's against the law and should not happen. So in whatever way I can do to make sure we eliminate it, I will do it. So I have a personal attachment to safetyness and, and the rights of people.
I then proceed to give the floor to Honorable Alassane Umar.
Thank you, Chairman. and gentility, the Labor Ministry is going to be very calm, even though you're going to see a lot of agitations. My question to you is in relation to our manifesto, the resetting agenda. If you look at, I think, pages 26, it talks about National Employment Trust. And this National Employment Trust will fund SMEs operating 24-hour in the following sectors. All what I want to know is, are you prepared to help His Excellency implement this? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, His Excellency has great vision for this country, and I'm prepared, definitely, to be part of it, and I'm happy I'm being considered to be part of it. So the answer is yes.
Thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Muhammad Shaibu.
Chairman, let me thank you for the opportunity. Honorable Dr. Al-Haj, my senior bro, congratulations. A well-deserved nomination. Many on this table have recounted your very good attributes. Indeed, trust that I want to ask a question about your integrity and your competence that you have earned and you have bagged it. What many don't know, and indeed the NDC needs to celebrate you, is that today, just like religion, that many people fought for religion that we worship freely today, you were the pioneer tertiary education institutions network called TAIN. Many in NDC do not know that you are the brain behind the formation of TAIN. I want to put it on record today that you ought and you deserve to be celebrated. I was happy many years ago to have worked under you as an executive when you were forming TAIN on the campus of University of Cape Coast. Thank you so much for that. We have said a lot. My learned friend Patrick took it through Act 651 on the harmonizing and then harassment. Let me move away from there briefly. My other learned colleague brought it to the labor front in terms of harassment by foreign entrepreneurs. Now let's go back to the external. In recent times, you will have companies advertising for labor for people to be sent abroad for greener pastures. Indeed, there are many of them dotted on the internet. Some you cannot even trace to their offices. Now, innocent Ghanaians will normally apply, pay huge sums of money. Now, for some, apart from being duped or defrauded, the unfortunate ones who will find their way out to these so-called greener pastures are subjected to horrifying conditions. And footages on social media for the past 3 years would show horrifying accounts of some Ghanaians who, in the name of labor, going for greener pastures, people take them there, they don't know what to do. They get there, their passports are confiscated, and they are subjected to various forms of
Honorable Shabu, your question, please.
Honorable Minister nominee, I know this has been brought to your attention, or you have stated. Please tell us what you will do, what policy you would put in place to curb or curtail this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have already indicated that Act 651, 2003, labor law is very categorical in pointing out that child labor is unacceptable within the province and working environment in this country is not allowed. So the policy you are asking for will be defined in accordance with the principle of law stated very clearly in that respect. And I will want to make sure we enforce it to the letter, to a logical conclusion where people who are cited doing so will be punished in accordance with the law. So it will serve as warning to any other person who would be thinking of doing so or who would be involved in doing in such a practice. Thank you.
Any further question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee, organized labor in recent times has not been that organized. Agitations here and there. Not sure whether it is a legislative problem or a question of practicality. You have studied the labor law. I know you have gone through it. What areas do you think are worth noting and looking at in response to organized labor? Thank you.
I think that it's normal in the stream of things to find people agitating for more because society is dynamic. Changes occur all the time. The cedi, the worth of the cedi fluctuates. So as we go along, people are found not to be getting the worth of their input. So there are agitations and requests to increase and all that. So these things are normal. They will happen all the time. What we would do is to understand this trend of affairs, first of all, and then to now tackle the issues as and when they present themselves. It will not be easy to give any firm response to it at this particular instance. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, let me wish the honorable nominee Allah's blessings and Allah's guidance in your new role. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, I proceed to give the floor to Honorable George Kwaku Riget Hagan, Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to add my voice in congratulating my brother, Dr. Rashid Pelpuo. Doc, congratulations. I'm going to just take you back just one question, and then maybe there'll be a follow-up, if there need be. And I want to take you back to where Patrick left off in terms of the Act 766, which is that established the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. Now, I'm talking about the supervisory role of MPRA. You know, MPRA is supposed to be the supervisor of all the pension, schemes and institutions, including SNIT. SNIT was actually set up before the MPRA. Recent events that we are all aware that happened, at SNIT, which is quite unfortunate, in an attempt to offload some of its assets. And it looks as if the regulator hasn't really got the muscle to provide its, supervisory role. Would you tell us what you will do to make sure that MPRA assume its rightful role of being the regulator of the pensions industry, including SNIT, which has obviously been around since inception and seems to be the bigger player in the industry? Thank you.
Well, the law has given MPRA a complete power of regulation of the operations of pensions, the scheme, at all levels, tier 1, 2, 3. And so I don't know what I can say beyond the law that function that provides it to produce those functions that it operates with. So I will say that I'm going to study further the issues to see whether it's exercising its full role or not, and if there are any lapses, whatever can be done to help us. I don't know what I can say beyond the law that provides it to produce those functions that it operates with. So I will only say that when I get in there, with your approval, I'm going to study further the issues to see whether it's exercising its full role or not, and if there are any lapses, whatever can be done to help us, repair those lapses, I will definitely help to do it. It has to function as a regulator, and that function cannot be undermined and should not be undermined by anybody. Thank you.
Okay, then my other question, I was going to make it a follow-up, but I think I should make it a second question. And that is to do, again, with the Act. Since the new Pensions Act actually started, and because of the ratios that were done, SNIT now gets less money than it used to when it was dominant, the only and the dominant player in the industry. As a result of that, the contributions that come to SNIT looks like it's actually not adequate to pay for pensions, though it gets invested, to pay for people who are on retirement today. And that figure seems to be going down. And I think there had been ILO had said that if care is not taken in the next 5 to 10 years, the payment of pension will become a difficult area for people who have gone on retirement. What is your view on that? I don't want to say opinion. What is your view on that? And what would you try and do when you get to the ministry to make sure that that issue is addressed? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, even before I took I take office, this thing was brought to my attention. I have investigated. I invited somebody to discuss it with me. He disputed the fact that Senate is going down. He explained to me that at this very moment, Senate is beginning, payments of pensioners have matured and they are spending money. So the overall cash element of Senate is coming down. But also that because of the reducing value of the cedi, it has an effect on the totality of the money that is available, the worth of it. But he said as they're paying and retiring people, more people are getting in. So Senate will not go down. But unfortunately, it does appear to me Senate is no longer part of the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment. And so I will maybe work with the Minister for Finance so we can ensure that no lapses occur in that. Thank you.
Follow up on that. So let's get it clear. MPRA is still under Labor, Jobs and Employment, and SLATE is under Finance. Is that your understanding?
Yes, that is it.
No further question. I'm sure you will find out when you get there what the situation with our pension is. And I know and I trust that you will be able to resolve the problem. You have the demeanor, the calmness, the diplomacy, the temperament and everything that we, earlier people who asked you questions have mentioned. We all know that. And I have no doubt in my mind that you'll be able to deal with labor issues and all the things that come with it. I wish you well, and congratulations again, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will now give the floor to the Deputy Minority Leader.
I'll call him my mentor. If anybody has been interested in my progress and my work in Parliament, I will name one person, that is Honorable Pelpuo, who has always been encouraging me, dragging me to committees, especially with the population census. We started together, and he was always encouraging me to do what is right and encouraging me to take up certain path. And I'm very grateful for that kind of encouragement. But we'll just have some few conversations as we move ahead. Because there are aspects of your life that people must know over there. Then I'm looking at your CV. And looking at your CV, I have one very interesting question for you. Honorable, you are a Muslim. Should I confirm that from you? Are you a Muslim?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Since this is a house of record, I just saw on your CV that you are married without telling me whether it's 1, 2, or 3, or whether the bunch that are already out there. And so you are married. And how many wives do you have, please?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two wives in my life.
Thank you very much. And you are sure the 6 children are all the declared properties you have? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I have 5 from one very committed, dedicated woman, a lawyer, and the second one from another one who is also a very committed, dedicated lady.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nomni. Honorable Nomni, I also noticed that you can speak so many languages, about four. 4 languages, about 4. And you have rightly described them, because I don't think I've ever heard you speak French, but you indicated it's a fair spoken, but you also wrote that you can read and write. But you use the word fair. How fair is your French in terms of writing, the writing of French, and then the speaking of it?
Yeah, I studied French in secondary school up to a point. But when I was reading my master's for international affairs, I chose French as a language of study. So I have fair knowledge of French, just fair.
This is on the lighter side. I'm looking at your publications. You have written very interesting books. The first one is The True Meaning of Life. And the second one is a review of the George Orwell's Animal Farm and Chinua Achebe's Man of the People. I'm sure most of us here have gone through the phase of reading these books. Would you like to share the import of all these publications? I think it will be a very interesting thing for us all to know. Thank you very much, each of them. Thank you.
Well, True Meaning of Life is a collection of poems. I write a lot of poems. It's my first publication on the poetry I write. I pick it from the political life of Ghanaians, political life of the people I meet. Poetry is about inspiration and recount of the inspiration in manners that you believe will be comported, but if read, can be expanded in the minds of people. So I have written about philosophy, the philosophy of life in the book, poetry, poems on that, about love, about Africa, and the challenges we face as a people. Those are all captured in poetry and are in that book. I can give, the book has been studied, has been reviewed and approved for the years. I sent it to them, they reviewed it, and it's been approved for years. Just that I haven't gone ahead to get it published and spread in that direction. Then the next one you mentioned is about the George Orwell and then Chinua Achebe's Man of the People. If you look at it, you say you write is Rashid Pelpuo et al., meaning with others, with somebody else. Because of my deep love of poetry, of the arts, I've read a lot. And in those books, you will find that each of them treats a life of society from the political perspective, and how that, when you read it, it shapes up in defining how society looks like. So I picked it out from there, and then got the political sphere they point to. And then this other guy who I worked with also put the artistic value in it. And so you have an article published in one of the best journals in the world.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. On page 2 of your CV, I would say the third item, which is the international appointments and positions. I noticed that you are still holding the position of the African Parliamentarian Forum on Population and Development. And then you are still also holding on the Clover Climate Alliance position. What does that mean in terms of your current appointment? Does it mean you are going to step down, or you still hold the position, or you are going to make a recommendation for the Parliament to continue the good works which you have done? Thank you.
Yeah, it's an elective position, and it involves almost all African countries involved who send their representatives, and I presented myself, first elected as the West African president, and then I got onto the African scene and was elected as the president for African Parliamentarians Forum. But it's a 3-year term and ends this year. I don't hope to continue. I don't hope to contest again. I will encourage somebody else to contest. In fact, I won it for the rest of West Africa, not just for Ghana. I was elected as presented by West Africa. I contested the elections and won. So if I'm not the president now, possibly the president is going to come from South Africa, because at a point they stepped down for me. They could have challenged me, but after presentations and all the others, they decided not to contest me. So possibly they will come on board. The president will come from South Africa, possibly. So, but the other one, I was appointed an envoy for Africa for climate change in Egypt at the Climate Change Festival or conference. And it was just for 2 years. So, but after a point, yeah, so I've given up that one. It's no longer going to be a bother to me at all.
Thank you for your explanation. And Honorable, let's go on to the substantive issues. Can you recollect that we have passed the affirmative action bill into law?
Yes, I affirm.
Honorable nominee, have you had a second look at that bill, or have you critically examined that law? Sorry.
Well, I was part of the making of that law. I contributed in making it. But after it has been passed, I haven't laid hands on it yet, so I haven't looked at it critically.
The reason why I'm asking you this question is that I want to create the awareness that you have a critical role to play in the implementation of the law. So, my humble advice, I don't think I'm going to further ask you any question. Some of the questions have already been put by but my humble advice is to take up the law again and then try and study it. Because one of the things that we are pursuing to do is not to see the law as a mere document we will be lying on the shelves following. I think as early as this year, we should start the implementation, because the implementation has all kinds of... A question was put to you earlier on about how you can ensure that we have a balance in terms of employment, that we can have a balance in that. If you don't put on your gender lens, I don't think that particular question in which you answered will be achieved as we are. So that is what I want. So what can you assure this House? How you're going to ensure that the affirmative action law is widely implemented? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have already stated very clearly that I'm a pro-gender person. I like to see equity in all aspects of our lives. I like to see the youth, women, men, the adults, and the young person all viewed within a space where none is discriminated against unfairly. And by the dictates of the law, the labor law, it is stated very, very clearly that we need to work to eliminate any kind of discrimination in the practice of engaging our labor force. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure her that as far as my ability can go, I'm going to make sure that equity is projected very high. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, there is one aspect of this assurance that I want you to re-emphasize. You agree with me that maybe it's because you haven't gone through the law again, that you agree with me that implementing ministry will be the gender ministry. So it will require some collaboration. So I want to bring to your attention that there should always be the eye to collaborate with the gender ministry to ensure it's fully implemented. And I don't have any doubt at all that you are going to be the pillar behind the good implementation of the affirmative action law. But let's come to child labor again. Child labor across the country, street hawking in the cities, farming with kids in rural areas, minors engaging in mining communities are some of the instances where kids are being exploited. UNICEF's 2023 report shows that nearly 28% of children aged between 5 and 17 are involved in the child labor. Around 21% of child laborers are engaged in hazardous working conditions. Subsequently, Ghana launched Ghana Accelerated Action Plan against child labor for 2023 to 2027 to address the issue. Honorable nominee, are you aware of this Ghana Accelerated Action Plan against child labor? If yes, what strategies do you have to ensure the country attains the plan's objectives? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the ministry has already got an approach, a policy approach to it, and I understand it coincides with our overall perspective of how to fight child labor and how to ensure that we liberate our children from the evil of dragging them into a workspace that they don't belong. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to examine that policy. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'll look at that policy, and then if there's a need for review, we review it and make sure we implement it to the letter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable nominee, according to the National Labour Commission, there were 27 industrial actions were recorded in 2024. Out of the 27 industrial actions, 21 of these actions occurred in the public sector. Actions in the country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I have indicated, there are already laid down rules that you follow to tackle these challenges with organized labor. And we are going to follow those existing rules. We have key individuals who are well-baked in these things. I'm going to work with them. I'm going to ensure that we understand ourselves. A key and major factor in addressing labor issues is to listen to them and to appreciate what they are asking for. And I think I have the composure to do so, to listen to them, to empathize. They understand that, and the fact that in the Labor Act Commission, we need to ensure that there is a man productivity. And so we are the Salaries Commission, who we should talk about it as a bureau. We should talk about it as a bureau. And we're going in for how much have I produced, how much am I going to? It's critical. Thank you. It's critical. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, you know, I'm raising this issue again. Because on this floor, you are being put down as assuring us to deal with the issues. And you need to understand, that's why I came with that dimension, that you should look at the different dimensions of the issues that are at stake. You can relate it, work as against output and the revenues, but you have given an assurance. So I just want to draw your attention to the fact that it is very important that, as you have already indicated, you are going to have a very close working relationship with the fair wages. Honorable nominee, the Ghanaian job market is rapidly changing. It is now being driven by technological advancement and shifting business demands. Climate change and digital transformation will create new needs for the labor market. To remain competitive, workers need to continuously improve their skills, while technical, vocational, educational, and training institutions need to align their training offer with the demands of the employers. Unfortunately, young people often still lack the required skills to find meaningful work. Honorable nominee, if given the nod, how will you collaborate with the Education Minister to ensure that graduates from tertiary institutions have the required skills for the job market? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it is true that working, the changes in our workspace, that's the changes in our workspace, that's the technology that is emerging, AI technology and all other technologies, and the kinds of job situations, big data systems that are being run by new thinking and new skills and all that. So it will demand a comprehensive view of it, and that will have a direct consequence on a law, a legal frame that will redefine our labor law. and it's something we are advocating for, to have an employment law. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I realize that you have very much interest in the employment and the labor setting. Even looking at your background, I don't have any doubt at all why you were chosen as the minister. You have all the right exposure to do that. Honorable nominee, I have in my hand a letter of termination of employment from Passion Air without any good reason. And I believe this is happening in so many institutions in the country at the moment. Honorable Minister, I'm just asking if you will be interested, because you see, already we don't have jobs and people are being dismissed unwantedly. And it is very important that you also show some level of interest in ensuring that these people are not laid off without no compensation or any payment of some, what do you call it, gratuity of any kind. Thank you.
Honorable member, before you answer the question, our labor law has a provision for fair termination and unfair termination. So in the circumstances, looking at this letter, how would one be able to determine whether the termination in the circumstances is fair or is not fair under our own Labor Act?
Honorable Chair, I think I was only trying to indulge in, if you would be interested. It's a question of yes or no. Yes, it's not
Honorable
an issue.
nominee,
Thank
will
you.
you be interested?
Honorable Chairman, I'll be very interested. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, there are a number of questions that I can put up to you, but you know that as we speak now, you have to, I know your capabilities and I don't want to, but you know all the labor issues. So I'd like to congratulate you for successfully attending to the House and answering your questions appropriately. So I wish you the best of luck and I wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Minority Leader. Honorable Pelpuo, it's now my turn to ask you a question. And my question is, if there is one thing from you that I want to be part of me, it's your patience. Congratulations. I will proceed to recognize and acknowledge our revered chiefs and opinion leaders who are here to give you moral support. First on my list is Abdullah Kasim Pelpuo, Kupahi Na Hashim Yakubu, Kunjihi Na, Alhaji Kabori, Zongo Chief Representative, Chairman Abdul Nasir Sani Bunas, Regional Chairman, Alhaji Nuras Isa Dawana, Deputy Regional Secretary, Famina was Central Chairman of the nominee, Madam Gloria Botele No, Acting Chief Director, Labor Ministry, Madam Fusena Mata, former was Central Women Organizer, Alhaji Ali Wunwana, businessman. Alhaji Moro Sadiq Kotia, businessman. You are welcome. Our honorable nominee, you surely hear from the committee. You are hereby discharged. Thank you for attending. Upon the committee.
Supporters think about how things have played out so far. But before then, let's take a look at some other people who would appear today after we have seen or heard from Abdul Rashid Hassan Pelpuo. We know that today the committee is supposed to also vet the Ningo Prampram MP, Sam Nate George, one of the big names that are expected to appear today. Will be seen shortly. We also expect to see Ibrahim Muhammed Murtala, another big name expected to appear before the members today. We'll also see Notongu MP, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, and a few others who are scheduled for today. Remember that earlier we had told you that 8 of them will appear. Now we understand only 7 will appear because the Minister Designate for Health, Kweku Minta Akando, Kwabena Minta Akando, has been scheduled or rescheduled for tomorrow. And so there you have it. The committee members are still seated, waiting for the next candidate. While they wait, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll go straight to the committee.
You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
We have recorded tremendous success in ensuring that the vision of our founding fathers does indeed become a reality.
We welcome you to the next Africa Prosperity Dialogues and the Africa Prosperity Chance Awards, which take place in Accra, Ghana from the 30th of January to the 1st of February 2025.
I will work to foster the partnerships that transcends our borders, and I'll work collectively with you towards regional stability, economic growth, and mutual respect.
We see our role in enabling Africans to have a better future.
We indeed have what it takes. There is no dream which is too big or impossible.
On occasions like these, we give ourselves an excellent opportunity to showcase the difference we can make.
To register, visit africaprosperitynetwork.com. Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2025, delivering Africa's single markets through infrastructure. Invest, connect, integrate.
I love President Charcoal.
Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste.
That's both charcoal and lemon.
Oh, does it?
Yes. Look right here.
Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal has two of nature's powerful whitening ingredients. With the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence, it removes stains and whitens teeth naturally.
Convinced?
Well, I am. Just look at your beautiful Pepsodent smiles.
For naturally whiter teeth, Pepsodent Charcoal.
Pepsodent. One upgrade is nice, but double upgrade is amazing. And that's
for a short while was the Minister of Youth and Sports before he was moved into leadership in Parliament as Deputy Majority Leader. He's also been a Minister of State under the John Mahama administration. Right now, we can take a listen to Minister Designate for Environment, Science and Technology, Ibrahim Murtala Muhammed, who is in front of the Appointments Committee.
And then proceeded to Tamale Teacher Training College, where I was trained as a teacher. Then I moved to University of Ghana, where I did my first degree. Then moved to KNUST and did my second degree in planning. And then I moved to University of Ghana again to do another second degree in international relations. I then proceeded to Mount Crest to do LLB. And then I just finished my PhD in political science. Inshallah, I shall be graduating on the 11th of February. I was appointed the Deputy National Coordinator for the National Youth Employment Program between 2009 to 2012. Between that time too, I was also once the Secretary General of the All Africa Students Union. Office I occupied for 4 years.
Honourable members, let's have some order. Do we have the marshal around? Do we have the marshal? Honourable member, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether I have to start again or I should continue from where I stopped.
Please continue.
Okay. So I was a student leader. I've been a student leader for 10 years directly. And it is pleasing to state that I serve as a student leader at the same time my good friend, Honorable Anodom Pre. And I was the Secretary General of the All Africa Students Union. I was also the MP for Nantong. And I had the privileged opportunity to be appointed by His Excellency President Mahama in his first term as the Deputy Minister for Information. And subsequently, I was moved to Trade and Industry, where I served for 3 years. I lost my seat, and I had to come back, so I'm one of the returnees. Then I came back in the 9th Parliament. In fact, I came back in the 8th Parliament, and again also in the 9th Parliament. I served in the Finance Committee in my first term in Parliament. But this time around, I came back not as the MP for Nantong, but MP for Tamale Central. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Without wasting time, honorable members, order. Let there be order outside.
I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable John Dako.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, with the announced plan of the United States to withdraw from the Paris Agreement to the UNFCCC, on the basis that the agreement undermines its economy and also puts its economy in disadvantage. That's what the United States has said as a reason for announcing their withdrawal from the Paris Agreement. And then China seemingly unwillingness to go by the Paris Agreement. Do you think Ghana, which is a near zero emitter, should continue to honor its NDCs? And if you think so, how do you think we can do that in the face of the many challenges we face as a country?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is a worrying development, considering the fact that the United States of America is one of the biggest funders of, if you like, donor support that is given to many countries, particularly LDCs, in terms of their fight to ensure that there is some environmental sustainability. It is worrying, and more so taking into consideration the lackadaisical attitude that indeed have been shown in the countries that are engaged in the highest emission
of these things. And so I think that what we need to do as a state is to see how we can continue with the bilateral relations we have with America. I do know that EPA has a lot of their funding coming from the United States of America. I do also know that CSIR, they've gotten a lot of funding to execute some of their programs and projects. So it is worrying. So I think it's a diplomatic issue. I will not be able to find out why America thinks that they should withdraw. But I think that our leadership can't find a diplomatic solution to it, because this particular action is something that would affect our determination to sure that the pace at which we move on as a state. And in terms of environmental sustainability, it's not the best, but it is encouraging. And this will be a setback. So I would suggest, and maybe perhaps suggest to His Excellency the President, that we need to, take advantage of the diplomatic channels, see how best of this assistance from United States.
Question? Mr. Chairman, I have Please proceed with your question. Now, Mr. Nominee, my question really was about whether you think Ghana should continue to honor its NDCs. I mean, that is our nationally determined contributions. That was my question. And so if we can really expatiate on what our NDCs are and whether we think that you should continue to honor them in the face of the withdrawal of the major emitters from the Paris Agreement. That is my question, Mr. Nominee.
Well, if you am yet to take up that responsibility at the ministry, what I can say is that there will be some further consultation with the various stakeholders and technical people to see how best we can. But my personal view is that we need to continue honoring it. But whether we honor or not, the global emission is something that won't stop. In your question, you indicated that the LDCs contribute about 3% or less than 4%. So it is like a tea in a spoon in the teacup. So I think that we should continue honoring, because if you refuse to, some of the donor funding we are getting, we may not be able to get it. So I think that we should continue honoring it.
Any further question? Yes, Mr. Chairman. My next question, Mr. Nominee, as I look at how long it takes for plastic to degrade and how most countries are encouraging non-plastic reusable bags from shopping malls, would you consider a ban first on importation of all forms of plastic bags, and then encourage Ghanaian companies to produce non-plastic reusable carry-on bags to help with the problem of plastic usages? And if you can give timelines to this so that the people of Ghana can hold you to it when the time comes.
Well, first and foremost, I don't think that I would suggest.
Honorable members, it is settled at the committee that he is even yet to take his position. As to whether he will be approved or not, he doesn't know. So I find it very strange asking him to give you timeline. So he can proceed to answer the question without necessarily relating to the timeline.
Chairman, I think you are leading the...
He should be able to...
Mr. Chairman, I beg to ignore that. Please.
Honorable members, order. Please proceed to answer the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think that if I'm approved by this committee, I think we need to do a comprehensive feasibility study to ascertain the socio-economic impact of such a ban on the people of this country, and also take into consideration whether there are alternatives, and as to whether those alternatives are available and cheaper. I think that is what we need to look at. So if you ask me whether there should be a ban, I think it will be very difficult to answer that. What I can say is that in response to the question, the last aspect of your question, whether we should support Ghanaian domestic, businesses and investors to get into biodiversity. Exactly. I think that would be one thing that I may encourage. But to ban it outright, when we are not certain whether we have the capacity to produce the alternatives and how, and I think that would be a very difficult to do. But one thing I can say is that to support our Ghanaian industries and businessmen to get into investment of such is something that I would encourage. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further question?
Yes, I have a follow-up.
Very well. On the plastic?
Yes,
very well.
On the plastic. Now, Mr. Nominee, have you realized that in this country, when people even buy a bottle of water, a plastic bag is given to them, and in most cases, once they take the bottle of water, they drop the plastic bag. I don't know whether you are aware. It is the reason why we have a lot of in our country. And so you are saying that when it comes to the importation, you consider it later. But what will be your policy on the use of plastics in this country? That you should be able to tell us that it should be something